Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, I am going to share a very special and heartwarming story with all of you. It's a beautiful tale about a small-town diner called the Rusty Kettle, and it revolves around a wise owner, a kind-hearted waiter, and the everyday customers who walk through their doors. This isn't just a story about a restaurant. It's a powerful reminder of how a simple cup of coffee, a little bit of patience, and genuine human connection can completely change someone's life. So, grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into this wonderful journey together. The small, dusty town of Oakhaven was famous for only one thing: the Rusty Kettle, a diner that sat on the corner of Main Street. Inside, the walls were covered with old photographs of the town's history, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee mixed with the scent of frying bacon. Elias was the owner, a man whose face carried the deep lines of 60 years of hard work. He had owned the place since he was 20, and he took immense pride in everything he did. Serving him, or rather, running the floor, was Leo, a young man who had just finished university and was looking for his next step in life. Leo was quick, smart, and always had a smile for the customers, even when the diner was packed to the doors. Elias, however, was a man of few words. He preferred to be in the kitchen, carefully measuring out spices for his secret chili recipe or ensuring that every pancake was cooked to a perfect golden brown. Their relationship was simple, yet it was the heartbeat of Oakhaven. One Tuesday morning, the rain was pouring down, turning the streets into muddy rivers. The diner was quiet. The only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator and the gentle rhythm of the rain against the window. Elias was wiping down the counter for the third time when the bell above the door chimed. A man walked in, shaking his umbrella vigorously. He wore a sharp, dark suit that looked completely out of place in the rustic surroundings of the diner. He sat at the corner booth, the one furthest from the window, and stared down at the table. Leo walked over with his notepad and a friendly, "Good morning, sir. What can I get started for you today?" The man looked up. His eyes were tired, and he had dark circles under them. "Just black coffee," he said, his voice raspy, "and maybe some toast." Leo nodded, scribbled it down, and went to the kitchen. Elias looked up from the stove. "Who is it?" he asked. "Just a stranger," Leo replied. "Looks like he's had a rough night." Elias grunted and poured the coffee. "Make sure you give him the good butter, the salted one." "I have everything," the man confessed, "but I have nothing to come home to. I realized that the only time I was ever truly happy was when I was sitting here, talking about nothing with her." Leo listened from the counter, captivated by the story. Elias listened with a look of quiet understanding. He didn't offer advice, he didn't try to solve the man's life. He simply listened. That was the magic of the Rusty Kettle. It wasn't just a place for food, it was a place for stories. As the sun began to set, casting long, orange shadows across the diner, the bell above the door chimed again. Everyone froze. A woman stood in the doorway. She looked older, her hair streaked with gray, but her eyes were bright and familiar. She looked around the diner, her gaze landing on the corner booth. The man in the suit stood up so quickly that his coffee mug wobbled. He stood there, frozen, unable to find the words. The woman walked slowly toward them. She stopped a few feet away, her eyes locked on his. "You actually came," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I was here every day for the last week," the man replied. "I thought you weren't coming." "I was here yesterday," she said, a small smile forming on her lips. "I saw you sitting here, but I was afraid. I didn't know if you were the same man I used to know." The tension in the room was palpable, yet it felt light, like the air after a storm. Leo felt like he was watching a movie. Elias, however, stood up, dusted off his apron, and nodded to the woman. "The booth is reserved for two," he said, turning to head back to the kitchen. "Leo, give them some space, and bring them a slice of my cherry pie on the house." Leo followed Elias into the kitchen, his heart racing. "Do you think they'll be okay?" he whispered. Elias smiled, a genuine, rare smile. "It's not for us to decide, Leo. Our job is to provide the space, the coffee, and maybe a little bit of comfort. The rest, That's up to them. The diner stayed open late that night. Leo watched from the window as the two of them talked for hours. They laughed, they cried, and eventually they held hands across the table. They didn't notice the world outside or the time passing. They were back in the moment where they had left off 20 years ago. When they finally stood up to leave, the man walked over to the counter to pay. He placed a generous tip on the table, but Elias pushed it back. "The pie was a gift," Elias said, "and the conversation was a reminder. Keep the money." The man thanked him, shaking Elias' hand firmly. He and the woman walked out into the cool night air, arm in arm. The bell chimed one last time, signaling the end of the day. Leo sighed, leaning against the counter. That was something, wasn't it? Elias began to stack the chairs. "Life is made of these little moments, Leo. People come in, they bring their burdens, they share them, and sometimes, if they're lucky, they leave them behind. That's why we do what we do." Leo looked around the diner. It was just a room with walls, tables, and a few old photos. But in the quiet aftermath of the encounter, he understood what Elias meant. The diner was a bridge between the past and the future, a sanctuary where strangers could become friends and where lost things could sometimes be found. The next morning, the diner was back to its routine. The regulars came in, the coffee flowed, and the world kept turning. But for Leo, things felt different. He looked at every customer who walked through the door with a new sense of curiosity. He wondered about the stories they carried, the heartbreaks they were hiding, and the quiet hopes they were nurturing. Elias continued his work in the kitchen, content and steady. He didn't need fame or fortune. He had his diner, he had his community, and he had the satisfaction of knowing that, in his own small way, he had helped two people find their way back to each other. And so, the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. Oak Haven remained a sleepy, quiet town, and the Rusty Kettle remained its anchor. The man in the suit and the woman never returned to the diner, but that was okay. They had moved on to their own life, hopefully a happier one. Leo stayed on, learning the art of the diner from Elias. He learned that the best way to make coffee wasn't just about the beans, but about the patience you put into the brew. He learned that the best way to handle a difficult customer was with kindness, because you never knew what battle they were fighting. And most importantly, he learned that being a waiter or a business owner wasn't just about the transaction. It was about the connection. The diner continued to see many faces. There were travelers passing through on their way to the big city, local farmers looking for a hot breakfast before a long day in the fields, and students seeking a quiet place to study. Each one brought a piece of the world into the Rusty Kettle, and each one left a piece of themselves behind. One afternoon, a young girl came in, no older than 10. She sat at the counter and ordered a glass of milk and a single cookie. She looked worried, her small hands clutching her backpack. Leo, remembering the lesson from the man in the suit, didn't rush her. He served her the milk, gave her an extra cookie, and smiled. "Everything okay at school today?" he asked. The girl looked up, surprised. "I have a big test," she said. "I'm scared I'm going to fail." Leo leaned over the counter. "You know, my boss, he's the one in the kitchen. He's been running this place for decades. He told me once that the secret to getting through anything is just to take it one cup of coffee at a time. Or, in your case, one question at a time." The girl giggled. "I'll try that." When she left, she looked a little lighter, her shoulders less tense. Elias watched from the kitchen, a nod of approval on his face. He didn't say a word, but he didn't have to. The message was clear. As the year drew to a close, the diner was decorated for the holidays. Lights were strung up, and a small tree stood in the corner. The atmosphere was warm and inviting. On Christmas Eve, the diner was packed. People from all over town came for the annual tradition of a late-night feast. Elias was in his element, cooking up a storm, and Leo was working harder than ever, moving from table to table with a smile. It was a night of joy, of laughter, and of memories being made. And as the clock struck midnight, the people began to leave, their bellies full and their spirits high. When the last customer had gone, Elias and Leo were left alone in the quiet, empty space. "Good work tonight, Leo," Elias said, hanging up his apron. "You too, Elias," Leo replied. "This was a good year, wasn't it?" Elias looked around the diner. He saw the scuffs on the floor, the faded menus, and the memories etched into every corner. "It was," he said softly. "It was a very good year." They turned off the lights, the darkness settling over the room. But even in the dark, the spirit of the place remained. It was a place of warmth, of stories, and of human connection. And as they walked out into the crisp winter air, they knew that come morning, they would be back. They would open the doors, light the stoves, and wait for the next person to walk in, ready to tell their story. The story of the waiter, the owner, and the customers wasn't a grand, epic tale. It was a collection of small moments, stitched together by the everyday kindnesses that make life worth living. It was about the people who crossed paths, the words exchanged over coffee, and the quiet impact that a simple, welcoming place can have on the world. And in the heart of Oak Haven, that was enough. It was more than enough. The world continued to change outside the windows of the Rusty Kettle, but inside, the values of the diner remained the same. It was a place where people were heard, where stories were valued, and where everyone, no matter who they were or where they came from, had a seat at the table. Years passed, and the diner saw many changes. New technology, new faces, and new trends swept through the town, but the Rusty Kettle stood its ground. It remained a testament to the idea that some things, like good coffee and genuine human care, never go out of style. Leo eventually grew older, becoming a mentor himself to new staff members. He taught them the same lessons he had learned from Elias. He taught them that the customer was not just a number on a bill, but a person with a story. He taught them that the owner was not just the boss, but the guardian of the diner's spirit. Elias eventually retired, handing over the reins to Leo. It was a difficult transition, but one that Elias was proud of. He knew he was leaving the diner in good hands. Even in his retirement, Elias would often visit, sitting at the counter, sipping his coffee, and watching the new generation carry on the legacy. One day, an older man came in. He had white hair and a cane, but his eyes were the same ones Leo remembered from years ago. It was the man from the suit, the one who had waited for his long-lost love. He sat at the same corner booth. Leo, now the owner, walked over with a pot of coffee. "It's been a long time," Leo said. The man looked up, his face breaking into a wide smile. "It has," he said. "She passed away last year, but I wanted to come back here one last time to say thank you. This place, it gave me the best years of my life." Leo poured the coffee, his hands steady. "We're glad you came back." They talked for a while, not about the past, but about the present. The man told stories of their travels, their adventures, and the love they had shared. And when he left, he didn't just leave a tip, he left a legacy of gratitude. The diner continued to serve, to listen, and to welcome. It became a legend in the town of Oak Haven, a place where people went not just for a meal, but for a sense of belonging. The waiter, the owner, and the customers were all part of a larger story, a story of community, of kindness, and of the enduring power of human connection. As Leo stood behind the counter, looking out at the town, he realized that he wasn't just running a business. He was part of something much bigger. He was part of the fabric of Oak Haven, a thread in the tapestry of the lives that passed through his doors. And he knew that as long as there were people who needed a place to share their stories, the Rusty Kettle would be there, ready to serve, listen, and care. And so, the legacy continued. The coffee kept brewing, the pancakes kept frying, and the doors kept swinging open. Each day was a new chapter, each customer a new character, and each interaction a new chance to make the world a little bit warmer, a little bit kinder, and a little bit more connected. There were days of exhaustion, of stress, and of uncertainty. There were times when the diner faced challenges, leaky pipes, rising costs, and the changing demands of the world. But through it all, the foundation remained strong. It wasn't built on money, but on the trust and friendship that had been cultivated over generations. Leo remembered the lessons Elias had passed down. He knew that the heartbeat of the diner was the people, the staff who worked hard, the customers who returned, and the community that supported them. And he knew that as long as they kept the focus on the people, the diner would thrive. The town of Oak Haven grew, and the diner became a landmark. People traveled from far and wide just to experience the atmosphere that had been preserved for so long. They heard the stories of the waiter and the owner, and they came to see for themselves if it was true. And almost every time, they left feeling a little bit better, a little bit more hopeful, and a little bit more connected to the world around them. The Rusty Kettle was more than just a diner. It was a symbol of what can happen when people come together, when they take the time to listen, and when they treat each other with kindness. It was a reminder that no matter how fast the world moves, there is always a place for connection. As the years rolled on, Leo eventually passed the torch to another young, enthusiastic worker, someone who saw the potential and the beauty in the simple things. And the cycle continued, ensuring that the legacy of the Rusty Kettle would live on for many more years. The diner stood as a lighthouse, a beacon of light in the quiet town of Oak Haven. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't modern, and it wasn't perfect. But it was real. And in a world that often felt disconnected and hurried, that was the most important thing of all. Mohan lived a long and happy life. When he finally left this world, the entire village came to his funeral. They planted a tree in his memory near the river path where he had found the gold coins many years ago. Even today, if you go to Riverview Village, people will tell you this story with pride. They say, "Our village is small, but because of one honest farmer, we learned that truth and hard work can make any life rich and meaningful." Mohan never became a king or a very rich man, but he became something better, a man whose name people remember with respect and love. And in the quiet fields of Riverview, when the wind blows through the rice plants, it seems to whisper his simple lesson: be honest, work hard, and the world will always find a way to reward you. At the end, the story of the waiter, the owner, and the customers was never really finished. It was a living, breathing thing, changing with every person who walked through the door. It was a story of hope, of connection, and of the enduring spirit of human kindness. And as long as the lights were on and the coffee was brewing, the story would continue, one cup, one conversation, and one person at a time. For anyone who has ever felt lost, for anyone who has ever felt alone, and for anyone who has ever wondered if their story matters, the Rusty Kettle is a reminder that you are not alone. You have a place, you have a story, and there is someone out there who is willing to listen. In the end, that is all that really matters. It's the simple, everyday interactions that define who we are and what we leave behind. And in the heart of Oak Haven, the legacy of the diner will always be a reminder that a little bit of kindness goes a long way. So, the next time you find yourself passing through a quiet town, keep an eye out for a place with a warm glow, the smell of fresh coffee, and an open door. It might just be the place where you find exactly what you were looking for. And when you walk in, take a moment, sit down, and listen. You might just find that your story is the one that changes everything. The diner will always be there, a silent witness to the lives of the people it serves. It will always be a place where stories are told and where connections are made. And as long as it stands, the spirit of the waiter, the owner, and the customers will live on, reminding us all that we are all part of the same story, and that each of us has a role to play in the tapestry of life. The world is a big, busy place, but in the small corners of it, there is room for quiet, for reflection, and for connection. And in those spaces, we find the things that make life worth living. We find hope, we find friendship, and we find ourselves. The Rusty Kettle remains, a humble diner on a corner in Oak Haven, serving up coffee, pie, and the quiet comfort of being heard. And for all those who have walked through its doors, it remains a place of warmth and a reminder of the best of what it means to be human. The story goes on, with every new day bringing new faces, new stories, and new connections. It is a story that is written in the hearts of the people who come to visit, in the memories that are made, and in the quiet, lasting impact that a simple place can have on the world. And as long as the doors are open, the story of the Rusty Kettle will never truly end. It is a story that belongs to all of us, the story of human connection, of the power of kindness, and of the enduring importance of community. It is a story that reminds us that we are all in this together, that we all have a story to tell, and that there is always a place for us at the table. So let us cherish the moments, the conversations, and the people we meet along the way. Let us be the ones who listen, who care, and who make the world a little bit brighter, one cup of coffee at a time. And let us never forget the lessons we have learned in the quiet corners of our own lives, for they are the ones that guide us home. The journey continues, and as we walk our own paths, let us hold onto the warmth and the light of the experiences we've had. For in the end, it is those moments of connection that make life a beautiful, meaningful journey. And whether we are the waiter, the owner, or the customer, we all have a part to play, a story to share, and a legacy to leave. And so, the story of the Rusty Kettle comes to a quiet, peaceful close, leaving behind a legacy of warmth, kindness, and human connection that will resonate for years to come. A testament to the idea that sometimes, the simplest things are the most meaningful of all, and that a little bit of care can make all the difference in the world. The diner remains, waiting for the next person, the next story, and the next moment of connection, an eternal, welcoming presence in the heart of Oakhaven. And as the years go by, the memories will fade, the faces will change, but the spirit of the place will remain, an enduring, comforting light that will guide us all on our journey, reminding us that we are never truly alone, and that there is always, always a place for us at the table. It's been a long journey, a journey of many years, many lives, and many stories. And as we reflect on it all, we see that it wasn't about the grand gestures, the big successes, or the fame. It was about the little things, the smile of a waiter, the steady hand of an owner, and the stories shared over a cup of coffee. It was about the people. It was about us. And in the end, that is what it means to live, to connect, and to leave our own mark on the world. So let us keep telling our stories. Let us keep sharing our lives. And let us keep looking for the places where we belong, for the places where we are heard, and for the places where we can make a difference. Because in those places, we find not just a diner or a community or a home, but ourselves. And that, in itself, is the greatest story of all. As the sun sets over Oakhaven, casting its final, golden rays on the windows of the Rusty Kettle, the diner stands, a quiet, humble, and enduring beacon of light in the heart of the town, promising to be there to listen and to welcome all who come, as long as the world keeps spinning and as long as there are stories to be told. The legacy of the waiter, the owner, and the customers is etched into the very walls of the building, a testament to the power of human connection, the beauty of simple kindness, and the enduring importance of community. And as the night falls, the diner remains, a place of warmth, a place of hope, and a place where we are all always welcome. And so, we leave it there, the diner on the corner, the stories told within its walls, and the spirit that lives on in the hearts of all who have ever been a part of it. A reminder that we are all, each and every one of us, part of something much bigger, something much deeper, and something much more beautiful than we could ever imagine. The story is ours, and it is a good one. It is a story of life, of love, of loss, and of connection. It is a story that is written in the everyday, in the ordinary, and in the simple, beautiful moments that define our lives. And as long as we hold on to that, as long as we keep sharing our stories, and as long as we keep looking for the light, our story will never truly end. We carry it with us, in our hearts and in our minds, a piece of Oakhaven, a piece of the Rusty Kettle, and a piece of the connection that we have found with each other. And as we continue our journey, we do so with a little more warmth, a little more kindness, and a little more understanding. A legacy of a simple diner that, in its own, quiet way, changed the world, one cup, one conversation, and one person at a time. It is the legacy of the waiter who listened, the owner who cared, and the customers who found a home in the heart of the town. And it is a legacy that we, in our own way, are all continuing, every day, in every interaction, and in every story we choose to share. For we are all, in the end, part of the same human story, and it is a beautiful one indeed. So here's to the journey, to the people we meet, and to the stories we create. Here's to the places that bring us together, and to the connections that last a lifetime. And here's to the waiter, the owner, and the customers of the Rusty Kettle, who taught us that the simplest things in life are often the most meaningful, and that in the end, all we really have is each other, and the stories we share. The diner is now a part of history, but the spirit lives on. And as we look back, we realize that it wasn't just a place, but a moment in time, a moment of connection that will always be a part of us, a reminder of the beauty of human experience and a promise that no matter where we go, we are always connected, we are always heard, and we are always home. In the quiet of the night, if you listen closely, you can almost hear the hum of the coffee maker, the clink of silverware, and the soft murmur of stories being shared. A reminder that the spirit of the Rusty Kettle is alive, and will always be alive, in the heart of Oak Haven and in the hearts of all who have ever been touched by its warmth and its light. It was a good story, a simple story, and a true story. And as we look toward the future, we carry the lessons of the diner with us, a compass to guide us through the ups and downs of our own journeys, reminding us that no matter what happens, no matter where we are always capable of kindness, always capable of connection, and always capable of making a difference, one conversation at a time. And that is the beauty of it all. It's the cycle, the ongoing, unfolding story of humanity, written in the small, everyday moments of our lives, a story that we are all a part of, and a story that we are all, in our own way, writing every single day. And in that light, we are all waiters, we are all owners, and we are all customers in the great diner of life, always learning, always sharing, and always connecting. So let us keep the spirit alive. Let us keep our doors open, our coffee brewing, and our ears ready to listen. Let us keep the stories flowing, the connections growing, and the kindness multiplying, for in the end, that is the legacy we leave, and that is the story that will always endure. The Rusty Kettle, a place of stories, a place of connection, and a place of heart, will forever be a part of the history of Oak Haven, a testament to the power of human connection, and a beautiful, enduring reminder of what it means to be human. It was a good story, and it was a story that changed us all. And now, as we close this chapter, we look forward to the stories yet to be written, the connections yet to be made, and the journey that lies ahead. It is a journey that we all share, a journey that we all contribute to, and a journey that is made beautiful by the people we meet and the stories we share. And as we continue, let us remember the lessons of the diner, let us cherish the moments of connection, and let us always, always be open to the stories of others. For in their stories, we find the reflection of our own and the shared humanity that connects us all. This is the end of the story of the Rusty Kettle, but it is not the end of the legacy. For the legacy of kindness, of connection, and of listening lives on in every one of us, in every interaction, and in every story we share. It is a legacy that will continue to shape our lives, to guide our paths, and to remind us of the beauty of the human spirit. And that, in itself, is the greatest story of all. As we move forward, let us take the spirit of the diner with us. Let us be the waiters, the owners, and the customers of our own lives, and let us make every moment count, every conversation matter, and every connection a testament to the humanity we share. The Rusty Kettle may be gone, but the spirit of community, of kindness, and of belonging is here in each one of us, ready to be shared, ready to be nurtured, and ready to make the world a better place. So here's to the next chapter, to the next story, and to the next connection. Here's to us, and to the beautiful, ongoing story of humanity. May we continue to learn, to grow, and to share, for in the end, it is our stories that define us, it is our connections that sustain us, and it is our humanity that makes us one. And in that, we find the true meaning of it all. The story ends, but the journey continues. And as we walk forward, we do so with the lessons of the diner in our hearts, a reminder that we are all connected, that we are all heard, and that we all have a place. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. This story of the Rusty Kettle, from the waiter to the owner to the customers, is a reminder of the profound impact of simple, everyday kindness. It's a call to be more present, to listen more intently, and to value the connections we have with the people around us. It's a story that is etched in the fabric of Oak Haven, but it's a story that belongs to all of us. And so, let us carry the warmth, the light, and the spirit of the Rusty Kettle with us, wherever we go, and let us be the ones who create that same warmth, that same light, and that same sense of belonging for others, one cup, one conversation, and one person at a time. The legacy is ours, the story is ours, and the journey is ours. And together, we can make it a beautiful one indeed. With that, we bring the story of the diner to a close. A story that began with a simple cup of coffee and ended with a legacy of love, connection, and understanding. It's a reminder that we all have a place, we all have a story, and we all have the power to make a difference. And as we leave the diner behind, we carry its spirit with us, an enduring, comforting light that will guide us on our own unique journeys, reminding us that we are always connected, always heard, and always home. The story was long, but it was worth it. Every word, every moment, and every interaction added to the depth and the beauty of the tale. It was a story of the everyday, of the ordinary, and of the profound impact that simple human connection can have. And it is a story that will live on, in our hearts and in our minds, a reminder of the best of what it means to be human. So let us go forth, let us share our stories, let us make our connections, and let us live our lives with kindness, with compassion, and with an open heart, knowing that, in the end, it is those small, everyday moments of connection that really define our lives, and it is those moments that truly make the world a better, more connected place. The journey of the diner, the waiter, the owner, and the customers may be over, but the story of the impact they had lives on, a testament to the power of kindness, the importance of listening, and the enduring strength of community. And as we move forward, let us remember their story, let us be inspired by their journey, and let us carry the spirit of the Rusty Kettle with us always. And so, we leave it here in the heart of Oak Haven, a story told, a legacy remembered, and a journey continued. And in the quiet of the night, as we reflect on it all, we are reminded of the beauty, the truth, and the simple, profound impact of being there for one another. And that is all that really matters. The story ends, but the humanity lives on. And that is the most beautiful story of all.